Welcome to the Blockchain Hustle, where I take a look at some interesting plays of how blockchain technology is opening up new business vistas across multiple industries. Hi everyone, this is your host Meenu Serene with today's episode on the various kinds of blockchain consensus mechanisms. Now, in my previous episode, I shared on the various types of blockchains. And I mentioned that the understanding of these, along with the various types of consensus protocols, they can serve as pointers towards your blockchain selection. So let's explore on the blockchain consensus mechanisms today. We begin with a problem statement. Now you imagine a scenario where a group of Byzantine generals, they want to attack a city. To win, they all need to attack the city from multiple sides, and these attacks need to be simultaneous. The kicker here, though, is that the generals, along with their armies, they are dispersed. So this attack has to be very well coordinated. The generals can send a messenger between them and they can reach an agreement on the battle plan. But then you can have the possibility of the messenger getting caught or going rogue. Or for that matter, even the generals can go rogue. So given this broad setup, how do these generals reach a consensus win? And that, folks, is your Byzantine generals problem. And this is the most often cited example to show the need for consensus in a blockchain. How does one make sure that multiple entities separated from each other, that these nodes in a blockchain, they would be in full agreement or in a consensus before any action is taken? Action like assessing a transaction or validating a block. The nodes need to work together aligned and securely. It actually all boils down to consensus and finality, which is basically an affirmation that once a transaction goes through, it cannot be arbitrarily changed or revoked. So having this background, let's get on to exploring some primary consensus mechanisms. The first one is your proof of work, the most famous one. This is the original blockchain consensus mechanism, and this is the one which is associated with Bitcoin. The miners here, they validate new transactions and they record them on the blockchain. All the miners, they compete to mine a block, which is basically to check that the hash of the data of that block is less than a preset number. It is kind of a cryptographic puzzle that needs to be solved before a block can get added onto the blockchain. And for doing this work, for this mining, the validators get a reward, like the bitcoins in this case. A major disadvantage with this mechanism, with this consensus protocol, is that it's highly energy or power intensive. It's not a green protocol. And also, let's say if the network gets into the hands of anyone which has got huge computational power, and you have chips, the special chips, ASICs, application-specific ICs, which are designed specifically for this proof of work, the network can get easily centralized, which defeats the very purpose of blockchain. And lastly, it can get slow, especially as the network scales. The next one is your proof of stake. Now, in the proof of stake, the computational power gets replaced with stake, and the miners get replaced with validators. Now, these validators, they lock up some of their coins as stake or deposit. And each block is created in a deterministic manner basis the stake. The block creation reward is shared amongst the participants in proportion to their stake. If I were to give you an analogy, it is something like a lottery. The more tickets you have, the higher is the probability of you winning. And this consensus requires neither any special hardware, nor is it power intensive. So it's a green consensus protocol. The drawback here is that anyone who has got huge amounts of cryptocurrency or a stake, they can get to control the network. Examples here are Dash, and another one is Neo. And then we have the delegated proof of stake. The delegated proof of stake is a more efficient proof of stake. And it uses something like the reputation or the credibility system, along with a real-time voting to achieve consensus. The network members get to vote, they get to delegate some members to secure the network. And these representatives in turn, they get rewarded by validating the next block's transactions. So how do you ensure that there is no rogue action or there is no sub-performance in the network? Well, the sub-performing delegates can get voted out and they can get replaced with the newly elected ones. So this keeps the thing in check. And the delegated proof of stake basically lends more governance rights in the network to the community members. And if I may say so, it introduces a kind of a democracy in the blockchain. And an example of this is Steam. So these are some of the popular consensus mechanisms. Newer mechanisms are also coming up. So I haven't listed out all of them, but just a few basic ones. Understanding of the various types of blockchains, as shared in the last episode, along with the various consensus mechanisms, as shared out here, they can help the enterprises decide which blockchain to leverage for their needs. So guys, thank you for listening and see you in the next episode. You've been listening to the Blockchain Hustle. If you have enjoyed this podcast, please do leave a short review, like it, share it, download it, and subscribe to it. What should I talk about next? Please do let me know your suggestions by writing to me at meenu@vlsiconsultancy.com or through any of the other contact channels as shared in the episode notes. Thank you.